I'm Andrew Mercier, and I'm BC's Parliamentary Secretary for Skills Training, and it is my honour to speak to you from the traditional territories of the Lekwungen-speaking peoples, the Songhees and Esquimalt First Nations. As your MC for today's announcement, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our participants, Premier Horgan, as well as Minister Kang, Trades Instructor Raven Hillenbrand, and the CEO of the ITA, Shelley Gray. Today is an exciting day in the evolution of trades training in British Columbia. And I'd like to call on the Premier to tell us what today's announcement's about and why it's so important. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andrew, for that introduction and acknowledging the territory of the Lekwungen-speaking people. It's my pleasure to be here with Parliamentary Secretary Mercier, as well as Minister Kang, with Shelley Gray and Raven Hillenbrand, as we talk about a transformative change in the trades here in British Columbia. As people know, more British Columbians are getting vaccinated every day. Our focus is now shifting to post-pandemic life and what things will look like as we go through stage 2 next week and then stage 3 later in the summer. The big plans we have for British Columbia, of course, focus on investing in infrastructure right across the province. And we have made the largest investment in infrastructure in BC's history, leading to the addition of some 85,000 jobs over the next 3 years. The demand for skilled workers in BC has never been greater. Pre-pandemic, we were struggling to find people to do the work that was needed. We're going to be experiencing that again as we come out of the pandemic. But unfortunately, changes made under the BC Liberals in the 20s and the 2010s devalued a career in the trades. Every other province in Canada requires tradespeople to be certified. Unfortunately, the government here, before we arrived, did away with that. In 2003, the BC Liberals took away mandatory certification, and it's a big problem. The costs to people are clear. Without a recognized credential, it can be difficult to move from job to job or industry to industry. And when it comes to the trades, of course, everyone understands this. Most tradespeople start a job, complete a job, move on to the next job. And having that certification is critical to that free mobility, not just within British Columbia, but indeed across the country. Tradespeople are building British Columbia, and we need to value that work. We need to encourage young people to enter the trades. I'm quite confident that we have the skilled workforce we need to get out of the recovery and back to where we want to be. But we need to return tradespeople to the place that they can have family-supporting jobs because of that certification, and that's why we're here today. We are launching a new trade certification system that will bring us back to where we were in 2003 and take us into the future with a bright opportunity for young people to look at skilled, high-paid jobs to build BC. And it will create more opportunities for women, Indigenous peoples, and others who are just starting their careers. Over the past 2 years, we've had a stakeholder advisory group working on shaping this approach. It's included industry reps, labor reps, people in post-secondary institutions, as well as, of course, the Industry Training Authority. And to start out this new trades certification system, we're going to be focusing on 10 trades within 3 areas. In the mechanical trades, we'll be focusing on refrigeration and air conditioning mechanics, gas fitters, steam fitter and pipe fitters, and sheet metal workers. In the electrical trades, both in construction, industrial, and power line, will all be part of the certification program. Lastly, of course, automotive trades, whether it be heavy-duty equipment technicians, automotive service technicians, or auto body and clinical collision technicians as well. And we're starting with these trades, these high-demand trades where high skills are required, so that we can protect the public and make sure that safety is not an issue. We need to make sure we do this properly. Everyone who consumes a service in British Columbia wants to know that the people providing that service have the skills they need to do it appropriately, safely, and to the highest standards, and that's what we're talking about here today. We recognize this is a big change for workers and employers in these 10 initial trades. And the change certainly won't happen overnight. But we're starting to design this process on how best to support workers, their employers, and make sure that we can bring in these changes in a cost-effective way that lifts everybody up as we start the engagement process. I'm going to pass the microphone now on to Parliamentary Secretary Mercier, and he'll give you more details on how this program will unfold.
Thank you, Premier. Skilled trade certification is about providing trades workers better access to the career benefits that post-secondary education and credentialing provide, like more job opportunities and higher pay. Requiring tradespeople to be either a certified journey person or a registered apprentice will help more workers standardize their skills at a higher level, benefiting workers, employers, and British Columbians who rely on the skills of qualified trades workers to fix a car, install electrical services in a home, or repair a gas fireplace. I'd like to invite Minister Kang to speak to what today's announcement means for British Columbians.
Thank you, Andrew. And it is my honor to join you from the traditional territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples. And I thank them for the ability to gather and work on their land. Today's announcement is an important milestone for our province. Every other province in Canada requires tradespeople to be certified. BC, however, removed the requirement in 2003. There are thousands of uncertified workers practicing a trade with no formal recognition of their skills and knowledge levels. Several BC groups have called for reintroducing skilled trades regulation, including the BC Federation of Labour, BC Building Trades, BC Chamber of Commerce, and the BC Federation of Students. These groups say that skilled trades certification will result in increased skill levels and help establish the trades as a valued career choice. And today, with the support of the industry, we are proud to be bringing back skilled trades certification. And these include 3 electrical trades: the electrician, industrial electrician, power line technician, as well 4 mechanical trades, including refrigeration and air conditioning mechanic, gas fitter A and B, steam fitter and pipe fitter, and sheet metal workers. As well, 3 automotive trades: heavy duty equipment technician, automotive service technician, auto body and collision technician. By bringing back skilled certification for these initial 10 trades, we are saying yes to good paying, stable jobs that support families and communities. It will finally bring our province back in line with the rest of Canada by ensuring the skills and careers of thousands of British Columbian trades workers are recognized and valued as much as teachers, lab technicians, nurses, and all of our other certified workers. Establishing certification will ensure trades workers are trained and certified to the highest level to support infrastructure projects and services through COVID-19 recovery and beyond. Certification recognizes the professionalism of tradespeople throughout BC while ensuring equity-deserving groups and every person who wants a rewarding, good-paying career in the trades can access the highest level of education and training. By bringing back skills certification for these initial 10 trades, we are saying yes to good-paying, stable jobs that support families and communities. We are saying yes to filling gaps and building a workforce for the future. We are saying yes to building value for the people who are building BC so that we can all benefit from a strong and resilient economy. I am very excited about this endeavor, and I hope you are all too. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Skilled trades certification is critical to making sure that BC has enough skilled trades workers to respond to the demands of the COVID-19 recovery and meeting the challenges of BC's future economy. It'll give workers more security in their career to move seamlessly to one project to the next or between industries. We know that this is a significant and complex change that requires careful implementation. It is not going to happen overnight. We need British Columbians to engage with us. People can participate by submitting their feedback via an easy-to-access survey online available in English, Punjabi, and Chinese. We're also planning to host engagement roundtables across the province in the months ahead so we can better understand how skilled trades certification can be implemented fairly and in a way that supports diverse needs across this province. We'll be consulting with apprentices, trades workers, small and large employers, Indigenous peoples, and unions, as well as asking women, recent immigrants, and others who are critical to growing our trades workforce to speak to their experiences in the trades and the supports that they need. These conversations will ensure representation from both rural and urban communities. I'd like to call now on Raven Hillenbrand to tell us about what drew her to trades training and ultimately to becoming an instructor teaching others.
Hi, good morning. My name is Raven Hillenbrand. I'm a gas beefitter. I come from an Indigenous community, Kitkatla, which is on the northern BC, and I currently live in Surrey, BC. I have 2 children also in the trade, my son and daughter. They both finished their first year training at UA Piping Industry College, which is the same college where I completed my gas beefitter ticket. I got into trades when I was searching through an employment agency, Access Trades Training. They posted a program called WIT, which stands for Women in Trades Training. It was being offered at the UA Piping Industry College in Delta. My father always told me that it would be wise to get a trade under my belt, so I got my gas bee ticket. As I did my training, I learned a lot of how a system works and how to install, test, and maintain a system safely. I believe education is key, and working towards my certification allowed me to gain that knowledge and confidence in my trade as a gas fitter. The more we can educate ourselves, the better we can achieve the level of standards that will carry our industry forward. It is important for my own career and the industry in general. Leading by example, our upcoming generations will see the importance of working hard and gaining confidence in obtaining a trade level certification. Working in the trades has benefited my family a lot, such as healthcare benefits, job security, great wages, and growth as an individual. Every day I learn something new and I love it. It's both rewarding and challenging. Growth through education is vital. The more we can learn and educate ourselves, the more we invest in our futures. It is important that we have skilled trade workers to bring quality to our industry. The more we work together and learn and educate ourselves, the more we invest in our future. And I believe that is a future worth having.
Thank you, Raven, and it's always great hearing from skilled trades workers. I appreciate your enthusiasm and your perspective. You're the reason our government is working to bring skilled trades certification to BC. Critical to the implementation of skilled trades certification will be making sure workers, apprentices, and those looking to build a career and a life for themselves in the trades are supported in this process. Our government has already begun with investments made over the past 4 years, like the BC Access Grant, the Youth Work and Trades Scholarship, and tuition-free basic adult education, just to name a few. And our consultations will help identify where further supports are needed. I'm thankful for all the encouragement we have received from the sector already, particularly from the Industry Training Authority. The Industry Training Authority leads and coordinates BC's skilled trades training system. They work with Indigenous peoples, apprentices, employers, industry, unions, training providers, and government to issue credentials, support apprenticeships, fund programs, set program standards, and increase opportunities in the skilled trades. I'd like to welcome the ITA's CEO, Shelley Gray, to provide insight about how certification will positively impact skilled trades workers in BC.
Thank you, and good day, everyone. What an exciting day for skilled trade professions in our province. I'm joining you today from the unceded Coast Salish Territory, the traditional land of the Musqueam people, and I'm honored to be with you here today. The Industry Training Authority has overseen the apprenticeship system in this province for the past 15 years, and we are honored to be playing a leading role in the implementation of skilled trade certification. This is about investing in people, about giving them the training and support they need so they can become certified and fully benefit from BC's growing and diverse economy. This is also about raising the profile of skilled trades for what they are, well-paying, highly skilled, meaningful careers that are so important and key for our future and our economic growth. We know this change is going to be complex and we need to work together to make it successful. And that's why we'll be going out and engaging with you this summer. We need to hear the diverse perspectives, regional nuances, and glean your insights so that we can build a strong implementation plan to ensure everyone is successful moving forward. Today's announcement from government is about investing in people and investing in a skilled labor force for the future. This will speed economic recovery ensure that trade professions are seen for what they are, as highly skilled, wonderful professions that will really help ensure that we have a growing and diverse economy as we move forward from here on in. Premier Horgan, Minister Kang, Parliamentary Secretary Mercier, we are delighted to be working with you on the implementation of skilled trade certification and raising the profile of skilled trades in this province. Thank you.
Thank you, Shelley. And that brings us to the end of today's announcement, and I encourage everyone with an interest in the trades to participate in our upcoming consultation process. The engagement will start immediately and include an online survey at engage.gov.bc.ca/skilled trades. As well, there will be roundtables, community dialogues, and focused discussions. We welcome feedback. I'd like now to invite Premier Horgan to take the podium again for media questions.
Thanks, Andrew, and particularly thanks to Shelley and to Raven, and to have generational focus, Raven, as you have in your family on skilled trades is inspiring for families right across British Columbia. So I lift my hands to you, your ancestors, and those that you've led into the trades as well. And with that, happy to take any questions you may have.
Thank you. As a reminder to media on the phone line, please press *1 to enter the queue. You'll be limited to one question and one follow-up. First question today is from Richard Zisman, Global News.
Premier, I'm sure you've been made aware that in the United States they have now introduced legislation that would make that temporary change around cruise ships permanent. How concerned are you that cruise ships heading to Alaska will bypass British Columbia? And did your government miss an opportunity to nip this issue in the bud before it got to this point?
Well, firstly, I don't believe that there was anything that we could do about what the Senate of the United States does. I did speak with Senator Murkowski yesterday. She assured me that her legislation, which has been passed, will sunset either next year in February or when travel restrictions are lifted between our two countries. And I certainly was encouraged by that, and also talking about all of the things that Alaska and British Columbia have in common, all of the issues that we can work on together, like salmon, resource development, and of course, equally important, making sure that we remediate the adverse effects of historic resource developments, like issues around the Tulsa Chief Mine, for example. So we had a lot of positive things to talk about, a lot of challenges ahead of us. This new overture by the junior senator from Utah is certainly a complicating factor, to be sure, but not one that we could have predicted, and not one that I was aware of until late yesterday. I do know Minister Fleming has spoken with the federal government. I'll be speaking with the intergovernmental minister about this as well. But I'm confident Canada has got a good handle on this. The relationship between the President and the Prime Minister is a solid one. We have good relationships to the south in Washington, Oregon, and California, and now emerging relationships with Alaska. I know the cruise ship sector very much values Victoria, Vancouver, Prince Rupert as destinations for travelers around the world, and I'm confident Minister Melanie Mark is reaching out to those interests to make sure that they understand that British Columbia stands ready to welcome the world once we can work out how best to open the borders to put COVID behind us. So I'm confident we're in a good place. This is a new wrinkle, but people want to come to British Columbia, and we are anxious to let them come.
Richard, do you have a follow-up?
I do. Victoria City Council voted yesterday unanimously to cancel online Canada Day celebrations and replace them with something being led by the Lekwungen people later this summer, a video presentation. Do you believe the province or other municipalities should follow suit with canceling formal Canada Day events?
Well, no, I don't. And I was born and raised in Victoria. I've lived most of my life in Victoria, and I didn't know that the city of Victoria had online Canada Day celebrations, so I don't suppose I'll miss it. But the intent I understand, and I think it's appropriate that all of us reflect on the events in Tk'emlúp's territory and how that has impacted our relationships with Indigenous peoples historically and in the present, and of course going forward. So the initiative is one that I believe is important, but I also know that all Canadians, Indigenous and non-Indigenous, want to put COVID behind us. And the symbolism of getting to July 1st, whether it's Canada Day, Dominion Day in the past, or just the start of summer, is, I think, where most people's heads are at right now. We're encouraged by the numbers we've seen with respect to case counts, hospitalizations. Immunizations are going very, very well. Second doses are overtaking first doses on a daily basis, and I believe that's exactly where we need to be. But when it comes to the issues with respect to rights and title, with respect to reconciliation, I think all British Columbians stand together to mourn the issues that have emerged from Kamloops. And I know on the 21st of June, National Indigenous Peoples Day, would be a more appropriate time for us to collectively focus on how we can redress the wrongs of the past and build a brighter future together.
Next question is from Binder Sajjan, CTV.
Up on what Richard was asking about cruise ships there. As I understand it, the bill is meant to repeal a portion of an old act that said that ships had to stop in foreign waters. And it was a protectionist measure at that time, but they're saying now because the ships aren't being built in the U.S. that it makes more sense for those ships to stop in U.S. ports so that other countries like Canada and Mexico aren't actually getting the benefits from that tourism dollars. I'm just wondering, how does the Canadian government actually argue against that, and how bad would it be if the cruise ships did stop coming to BC?
Well, so over 1 million passengers came through pre-pandemic, came through Vancouver. Over 700,000 came through Victoria. So it's a significant economic impact. And it's also an opportunity for people to stop briefly to experience the splendor of British Columbia and make plans to come back for more extended stays. That's the real value of the cruise ship sector, is it's an introduction for many to the wonders of British Columbia, whether it's our majestic forests, our rugged coastline, or our innovative and dynamic people throughout the province. Historical opportunities like Barkerville to go back in time to understand how this magnificent province was developed. These are opportunities that I think people of the world want to continue to enjoy, and we want to welcome them back. The archaic acts that are being talked about here, the Jones Act and the other piece that the senator from Utah is focusing on, are absolutely appropriate for the United States to deal with. That's their right and responsibility. But I think the traveling public will be voting with their feet. And the notion of getting on a cruise ship in San Francisco or Los Angeles, stopping in a foreign country like Canada, where the dollar's worth a little bit more, where you've got different people on your money, a whole bunch of different cultural changes that are distinctions rather between Canada and the United States, is compelling for the cruise ship industry. And I know the industry very much values the relationship they have with Victoria, Vancouver, and Prince Rupert, and I'm confident that we can continue to keep that in place.
Follow-up, Binder?
Yes, I would like to ask about the ICBC pandemic rebate, the 2.0. And I understand that ICBC's got additional cost savings from the pandemic. But as things, start to reopen and we see the restart, people start returning to work, is there a concern that maybe, ICBC might have some troubles further down the road?
Well, I believe we acted responsibly by separating the rebates into two components. It was abundantly clear in the first phase of the pandemic that costs were down for the corporation. The government no longer is shaking down the company at the end of the year to pay for other programs. And we have completely revamped how ICBC delivers services and, of course, make sure that those who are catastrophically injured have sustained over their lifetime benefits as a result. So we've turned ICBC into a modern, publicly owned and publicly focused corporation to meet the needs of British Columbians. The second rebate is a result of the savings that we saw in the second part of the last fiscal year. And we did not want to combine the two, as some had suggested, because we wanted to make sure that the company was in a position to give those rebates. We did not want to give up the great progress we had made in rewriting the ship, as it were, putting it back into solvency without it being a piggy piggy bank, quite frankly, as the BC Liberals used to use it, for government expenditures. I think the corporation is on sound footing. I believe that drivers, policyholders deserve the rebate, and they also deserve the 20% reduction that is a result of our transformation into an enhanced care model. And I'm very excited about the future for ICBC. And when I talk to people, they tell me that they're very excited about paying less for the services they're getting.
Derek Penner, Vancouver Sun.
Ask one question about the announcement today. In certifying the skills of tradespeople, say you're going to certify skilled tradespeople, to some people that might imply that those without certification in the system now are unskilled. How is this process to certification going to recognize what the tradespeople have the skills that they have now?
Well, certainly the changes that the BC Liberals made back in 2003 discouraged people from completing their Red Seal. So you could get onto a job site, you could pick up skills, you could take your courses and not complete, but you wouldn't have that certification to travel within Canada. You wouldn't have that certification to move from job site to job site. There are thousands of skilled workers in British Columbia that will only need perhaps a program or a few more hours with a journey person to get that certification. I'm going to ask Parliamentary Secretary Mercier to talk about that in more detail. But what we're trying to do here, we started with the 10 trades that have the highest level of certification. Very few in the 10 trades that we've outlined today are not certified. There are increasing numbers in other sectors, and we're going to take a little bit more time to make sure we get that right. But I'll ask Andrew, who's been immersed in this work, to give you a detailed answer to that question, because it's a good one.
Thank you, Premier. One of the absurdities of the changes that was made back in 2003 is that you do now have a number of people with skills on the job that lack the recognition for it, that lack the portability of having a red seal. And what we want to do is we want to do a few things here. Number one, make sure that those folks get the recognition and the value of their skills, and that we recognize that with a credential. And another is to create more opportunities for apprenticeships, for apprentices to get into the system to solve the problem that we're going to have not today, but 10 years from now, when we have 55,800 journey people retire in the construction sector. So we're committed to engaging with industry. We're committed to making sure that there are multiple pathways to certification. And I'm looking forward to that engagement over the coming weeks and months.
Derek, do you have a follow-up?
Yeah, I have one follow-up on old growth logging. The Tsleil-Waututh First Nation has also entered the picture, requesting that it be given the authority over protection of remaining old growth cut blocks in its territory. I was wondering if the Premier could respond to that request.
Sure. There are going to be and have, in fact, been requests from Indigenous nations across British Columbia to work collaboratively on protecting and preserving those special places in their territory, as well as finding opportunities for economic development. This is part and parcel of the work we've been doing for the past 4 years, ensuring that the Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples fully engages Indigenous peoples in the activities and on their territory. And we have been working with the Squamish, for example, on a range of issues. They've brought forward a number of others. The Tsleil-Waututh now, as I understand from your question, are also interested. And I know nations in every corner of the province want to have those discussions. That's why this is going to take time. It's not something you can do overnight, but it's something that we're committed to doing. We put forward a plan and embraced all of the recommendations last September in the Old Growth Review that was done by independent foresters. We are working on that, evidenced by working with the Pachidat, the Huayat, and the Dididat to come to deferral decisions on their territory. We had deferrals in September, and there will be more deferrals as the summer goes by and we go through the next year or two. The thing to remember, I think, for all British Columbians is the forest industry needs to change. The pine beetle made that abundantly clear in the interior. Successive fire seasons let us know without any doubt that climate change is transforming the landscape of this foundational industry. And the only way we're going to come out of this stronger than we went into it is if we work collaboratively with rights and title holders, we make sure that industry fully understands that we need more value from our forests, we need to steward them for the long term. That's the track we're on, and I know Indigenous people and British Columbians are on the same page with respect to making sure our forest industry is here for the long term.
Next question is from Marcella Bernardo, News 1130.
Hi, Premier. I'm sorry I have to ask you again about cruise ships, but is there a part of you that wishes that you had been more emphatic in trying to fight these changes that are taking place so that it wouldn't seem like BC's just rolling over and letting this happen now?
Well, I'm just going to have to reject the premise. So let's put some context on this. We're in a global pandemic. The United States, on a good day, is difficult to govern. They have a split evenly in their Senate. They have raucous debates on what color the paper is that they're talking about. So for British Columbia and for me to suggest that somehow I could have thrown myself in front of this bus and stopped it is the height of hubris in my mind. Instead, the approach we've taken is to work with our neighbors like Governor Inslee, like Senator Murkowski, work with the federal government who has primary responsibility in this area, and of course, work with the tourism sector to say we're all in when the time comes. But I know most British Columbians and most Canadians, and in fact most Americans, have not been thinking about taking a cruise. They've been thinking about their safety, their well-being, their economic and physical livelihood going forward. Now, having said all of that, we are passionate about making sure that we can welcome the world back to British Columbia. Tourism is very important to our economy, every corner of the province, and the cruise ship industry is a key part of that. But I don't regret not yelling louder at people who would not have been listening, quite frankly. Instead, the appropriate approach is to work through channels with the relationships that you have, let the federal government do its job, and of course, keep in mind at all times, people want to come to Vancouver. People want to come to Victoria. They want to go up the coast of British Columbia because it's a spectacular place. And what a senator in Utah or what the machinations of U.S. politics would be on any given day will not change that. People want to come here. My job is to promote that and to make sure that it's accessible to everyone.
Follow up, Marcella?
And just in keeping with that, for anyone I've talked to has said that the tourists themselves want to come to British Columbia. So what action can Melanie Mark or you take that can ensure that people who are wanting to visit Canada are going to be demanding that we stop in Victoria, we stop in Prince Rupert, we stop in Nanaimo on cruise ships that are coming this way?
By doing the promotional work, by making sure that Destination BC has the resources to invite the world, doing all of the marketing that we have been deferring, of course, because we didn't know when the borders would open. We've seen a significant downturn in case counts. Our hospitalization issues are getting under control. Immunizations are up. All indicators for the positive here in British Columbia. I'll be engaging with the federal government, the Prime Minister and premiers across the country next week. We have a subset of premiers talking about these issues of opening the borders, and then a First Minister's meeting on Thursday, hopefully to give British Columbians and, of course, Canadians a roadmap on when the borders will be open and how we're going to manage ensuring that vaccinations are a key part of that for people coming in. And then, of course, we're going to be promoting heavily. Welcome to British Columbia, a great place to be, a great place to visit.
Les Lane, Times columnist.
Well, thank you. Premier, I think you're saying basically that if they drop the mandatory requirement for stops in Canada, the ships are going to stop here anyway, just based on the tourism values we have. Is that basically the position BC has now?
Well, that's certainly my view, Les. Minister Fleming on the transportation side is working with his opposite number in Ottawa. I've reached out to the sponsor of the initial bill, Senator Murkowski. We had a very positive discussion. She understands and values, as an Alaskan who visited Rupert to get anywhere as a youth, she understands the importance of our relationship. Again, this new initiative could be domestic politics. It could be a whole host of other things. I'm confident that Senator Murkowski wants to make sure that we continue to have a positive working relationship, and the people that are traveling to Alaska have to travel by British Columbia. Why in the world wouldn't they want to stop? That's part of the attraction. That's what makes cruising an important part of tourism internationally. And British Columbia's got a key role to play. You just have to go up the coast and you'll be marveled. I lived in the Central Coast as a youth. There's nothing more spectacular than going by the Great Bear Rainforest. The Helsik people and everyone up and down the coast know and understand the value of these territories and the splendor that will invite people to come here. I think it speaks for itself. The domestic politics in the U.S. are beyond my purview. I wish them all well. I'm going to do my part to engage with people I have relationships with to make sure we get the best deal possible.
Follow up, Les?
Is there any room in BC's Phase 3 next month for a resumption of cruise double-dose certified vaccinated passengers on cruise ships stopping in BC, or do you accept the position that Canada is essentially closed to cruise ships for the rest of this year?
Well, the federal decision was made some time ago. We are in a different place now, as you know. The immunization program is just going great guns here in BC and indeed across the country. We are engaging with the federal government, as I said, Minister Fleming with his opposite number, Minister Mark, and myself. So we're doing what we can. If you had asked me in February what I thought about the prospect of a cruise industry this summer, when we were uncertain about supply of vaccine, when we were uncertain about what the future held, I would have said the federal government made the right call. What governments need to do, and you know this as a longtime observer, Les, is you adapt to circumstances, and when circumstances and events change, then policies need to change. And I'm very confident the federal government understands that. And if there is a way to find people that will get on a vessel and go up the coast, we want to make sure that happens. But there's a lot of work to do yet, and we're going to focus on that step by step. We're not into Phase 2 yet, so I don't want to scoot all the way to Phase 3.
Last question today is from Karen Larson, CBC.
Oh, hi there. Thank you. Premier, my questions have been answered, so I'm going to pass here.
Okay.
That's all.
Well, thanks for joining us. And to Shelley and to Raven, thank you so much. Keep up the good work. Train the next generation. Let's build BC.
Thank you.